I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use some notes. I've been doing 3 straight round-the-clock deals, and I've got no sleep, so I'm going to rely on notes. Good afternoon. My name is Peter Thimmesch. I'm with Addrex. I want to thank the program committee first for accepting this talk. We weren't sure how this would go. We want to talk about the fact that really, for everyone in this room, Aaron is still your primary source. If you have IP space, Aaron is still the place you'll got it from, and you'll continue to renew your contracts every year. We want to keep that mentality going, that there's still a primary source of supply. The question is, how much space did Aaron get from IANA over the years? And when they started operations in 1997, they began mostly with parts of 6/8 blocks that they were given, and then they started issuing out of that. And afterwards, they started getting their own /8 blocks until the last one was given to them. I think it was a ceremony in 2011 in February. So, well, as you can see, they've gotten about 671 million numbers, or about 2.6 million /24 blocks. This covers from the time they started in December of 1997 until those numbers were at last allocated to the members in about September 2015. Now remember, if your company has an allocation from Aaron, it's still yours to use and you still have it. It's your right to use for as long as you want, but that's your primary source. The question becomes, what if you need more? So we took a different tack, and we did a lot of research into the environment of legacy holdings, which a lot of people talk about. How much might be unused in this space is a question, but why don't we look at how much was given out? 42/8s, check. About 11,045 /16s, check. About over 39,000 /24s. That's over 1.4 billion numbers. Yeah, that's breathtaking. That's a lot of space. So probably what's going to come about, though, is you're going to say, what's unused? How much is sitting there unused? And that's where research comes in. Yeah, we don't know, and no one really has a definitive idea until you look inside of a network, but we've got a lot of tools and a lot of experience looking at this now in our research for the last 7 years. But we're going to skip over the /8 networks because most of them have been sold off and picked clean, and we're going to even ignore the /24 called the swamp space because that's a lot of effort versus the value of return. So we're going to return back to those 11,045 Class Bs, and that's where we kind of look at this. And our number one bit of research has really come down to the fact that, well, most of them are unused. We estimate about 8,000, it says 8,022, that was in March. We don't know the right number today, but it's about 8,022 /16s are completely unused, at least in BGP over the last 14 years. And in doing that, we've kind of looked at it from the way that equals. That's about 73% of the space. And then we looked back and said, okay, is one holder holding all this? No, it's about 6,000 plus entities hold it. And that's the problem, is that there are so many single Class B holders. All right. So how did this happen? How do we get this mess that everyone talks about? You have to go back to the late 1980s and the early 1990s where most of these were given out. They were given out almost exclusively by the DDN at the end of their term at Stanford Research and the beginning of the Internet project. We went through things like the protocol wars. I'm old enough to remember them, but a lot of people you'll talk to don't have an idea what the protocol wars were. When we had X25 and we had Novell IPX, and those were just to name a few. The goal was just to get the numbers out, get the protocol numbers out, and that would solve some of this war. There was also no CIDR, no NAT, no business ISPs of real significance that were really connecting companies. Telecom managers were now suddenly forced into things being called LAN/WAN managers, and they had to go figure out how to go get a frame relay with a box and connect it, and oh my God, if you go to the Internet or the DDN, you might get a block and you fill it out with either a fax, or if you had a email address that they accepted, you could ask and request that way. And they just gave them out. And that's pretty much the way it was. Now comes the question is, what does that really mean to the market? Well, why does anyone care? So we currently have a room full of potential buyers. I mean, that's what this organization is. But there is no such thing anywhere in the world as a room full of sellers, at least the legacy blocks. These entities that got these ranges were small businesses like paving companies, to hospitals, to banks, to just about anyone that needed them. And so there is no cohesive design of who got these, and that's how it worked out. But the crazy part, almost the most amazing part we want to tell people is almost all these 6,100 entities that hold those 8,000 unused blocks don't know they have them. It's kind of unbelievable. But mainly it's because they renumbered them out of years ago. The person who got them is retired or left. Maybe most importantly of all, they were free and they were not considered valuable. So the guy deep in the engine room never went up to the C-suite and said, hey, we got these registration rights. So yes, based upon our 7 years of research and experience, these companies simply do not know they have them. And when you try to tell them, well, it sounds too good to be true. And so it takes a lot of time to get people to believe they actually have these rights. And that takes time and effort. So our informed conclusion, and this is what I want to get to, is there is a significant amount of potential supply of unused, clean IP space that doesn't require recycling of network operators' current used space. There are problems with accessing this pool, though, because it requires an immense, almost Herculean effort to coordinate with the registries, like Aaron's Registration Services Desk, to recover these registrations, and that's what has to be done. You have to actually recover control of the registrations for these companies. So while there's a lot of space to transfer with a lot of work, it's only going to be mostly companies that hold only a single /16. So if you need more, plan for multiple deals. That's just the facts. And from there, we see a current pace of transfers and stated demand. As we have about 1,000 companies we talk to. And this pool can and will, at the sustainable rate that we look at, it'll last about 7 to 10 years at the current pace of acquisitions and transfers. So we see there is a long window of opportunity for this work. But it's this hidden pool of numbers that companies don't know they have that takes all the work. And that's kind of what we're trying to relay to the industry is it's not that they are ignoring their holdings. They don't know they have them. Thanks.
We have time for a couple of questions, about 4 minutes. So if anyone has a question for any of these three speakers, please come to the microphone.
Great talk. On that last talk you just finished up there, does this mean that there's a viable potential business opportunity for employees to go out there, sign on as contractors to these paving companies, storm door repair companies, and whatever else has /16s, become employees of the company long enough to help them out through the process of getting their blocks registered in a way that they could be sold for some chunky profit. Contractor takes a bit and moves on to the next company and does this for the next 7 years?
I have no idea. That's an interesting, no one's ever asked that before. That's a first. We do know there's a lot of people that are trying to reincorporate companies and that are fraudulently trying to act like it's theirs. That's in a different venue, but no one's ever said, I'm going to go work for the company and convince them to do this. That's a first.
Fraud is never a good idea, but becoming a legitimate employee,
Yeah.
I sense an opportunity here.
Go for it.
Thank you.